business, doing what I do, and all of a sudden, here comes Neil. Saw it with my own two eyes. We follow each other on Hang With. And I was behaving myself until I saw him do this, and now there's about to be a problem. What, you may ask? I saw him in his own element, doing what he does best, and that's create, being creative, and just letting it go and being present in that moment. He was in the studio, in the lab, as he calls it, and he was creating some songs, and he just, you could tell he was in the zone. And I say it's all his fault because at times I tend to get a little exhausted, and I'm like, okay, time to fire myself, time to go and do something else. And then something will take place that reminds me why I got started. Now, for those who may feel like that's flip-flopping, let me just let you know, I fire myself at least once or twice every month, and then at the end of the month, I get the job back. It happens. It just goes with the territory. But when I saw him do that and saw him how free he was and how much he was enjoying that, I said, you know, that is exactly how I feel when I am doing what I love, and that's talking about education or uplifting somebody, uplifting the community, or, you know, cracking jokes, or just whatever it is. Sometimes I get frustrated because I can't pinpoint it to that one thing. People say, you need to focus. I'm like, listen, I am focusing. It just happens that I happen to be focusing on 5 things at one time. That's just me. That's how my brain works. So I want to shout out Neil. First of all, thank you for the follow. And thank you for being present in that moment, because that uplifted me out of a little teeny weeny little pity party I was having for myself for a hot second. And I want to send a special shout out to the Facebook group Black Educators Rock. Y'all are the bomb. And I got some great things planned, because sometimes you ever felt like you had a message or a platform that not a lot of people could really identify with, and then you feel like nobody is listening? Well, when I just sat back and saw all of the posts in that group, I said, bada boom, bada bing, this is it. This is it. They speak my language. So, as usual, I'm not giving up. They ain't even in my DNA. I don't even know how to spell giving up. I mean, I know how to say it, but it's just not, I'm not built for that. So, anywho, I'm not going to keep y'all long. I just wanted to say hey and let Neo know it's all his fault for all of these problems I'm about to cause. The good problems I'm going to cause in these streets, being who I am, doing what I do, being, you know, that troublemaker, the one that used to keep me in the principal's office, not even as a student, but as a teacher. A former public school educator used to keep me in the principal's office because I was always that teacher that did those innovative things and wouldn't really follow exact protocol, because sometimes that protocol just wasn't effective for my students. So I had to do what I had to do to make sure that they were learning the way that they learned and produce results, so that when they went home to their families could get results. Never, ever, ever was anybody ever allowed to come in my classroom and leave the same way that they came in. If you didn't learn, then that was on me for the most part. If you didn't let me know that you learned, then that was on you. So both of us were held accountable. So a lot of people say, well, what that got to do with me? You know, you ain't a teacher no more inside of the classroom or whatever. Let me explain something to you, okay? You listening? I am still an educator. It just happens to be that the world, the world is my classroom. I just described to somebody that I am now a mobile educator, because as you can see and as we all know, education takes place in more than just a traditional school setting. It takes place out here in these streets. It takes place in these neighborhoods when people feel like there's no more hope. And here I am, I come along with the experience of being a single parent, with the experience of having been homeless and kind of borderline there now, sleeping on the couch. That's another talk show for another day. Being, a welfare recipient and still having my dignity and not letting somebody tell me that, oh, you looking for a handout. Nah, bruh, I don't do handouts. I do hand up. Sometimes you have to experience things in life so that you're able to empathize with people who are going through the very exact thing that either you went through or you're going through. You ever talked to somebody and you just needed somebody to listen and they wouldn't shut up long enough to hear you, and they wouldn't shut up because they couldn't relate? I don't know if that makes sense to you, but if I'm looking for somebody to be a listening ear and a shoulder for me to lean on, I need for them to be able to empathize and know what I went through, but at the same time not compare their scars and their wounds to mine. What you did to get yourself out might not be the same thing that's going to apply for me. But if you are familiar with what I've been through, then you know how to listen and you know how to be supportive effectively. So I'm not trying to get deep on a Tuesday night. I promise you I'm not. Sometimes it just happens like this, but it is what it is. So with all that being said, when y'all see me cutting up in these streets, doing what I do best, and doing positive stuff, y'all got Neo to thank, because homeboy was in his zone today, and it just inspired me to say, you know what, get back in your zone. It don't matter who don't understand. It ain't for them to judge whether or not I should keep going. But that's the human side of me. You know, sometimes these things happen or whatever, and I have no problem being transparent. So, with all of that being said, because this is about to go into 8 minutes now, I ain't trying to be all that long. Y'all got stuff to do, I got stuff to do. Got turned to make sure they on point and everything else like that. We got stuff to do, y'all. Get off social media and go hug somebody, call them, tell them you love them, and all of that good stuff. I gotta get out of here. Smooches and red rice. Shout out Neo. Mwah. Love y'all.